I am a South African actress and professional dancer, and I'm currently on SABC One show Skeem Saam. I've studied acting in Los Angeles. I've danced for professional dance companies. I've done films. I felt that there was stuff that I could do in the country, and there's so many great South African and African stories to be told, and our film industry is booming, and I wanted to be a part of that. It's this magical feeling. I love telling stories, and it's been always known to me that this was what I wanted to do with my life, and no matter what, I was going to make it happen. If you want to be in the arts or do something that is not seen as acceptable by society or not the normal thing, then you should go and do it.
Hello, Africa. You're listening to 1000 African Voices. I'm your host, Aburengwi C, coming to you from our Johannesburg studios. 1000 African Voices is a program that profiles Africans of diverse cultures who have traveled and lived across the African continent and the world. In this series, we will collect and share stories from all parts of Africa. Welcome.
1000 African Voices.
Hello, Africa, and welcome to yet another episode of 1000 African Voices. Today, we are joined by Liza van Deventer, who will shortly introduce herself to the listeners of 1000 African Voices. Hello, Liza.
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing really well. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for lending your voice to the 1000 African Voices project. Liza, perhaps before we get started, can you introduce yourself to our listeners? Who is Liza van Deventer?
Okay, cool. So I am a South African actress and professional dancer, and I'm currently on SABC One show Skeem Saam. I've studied acting in Los Angeles. I've danced for professional dance companies. I've done films, commercials, other TV shows. Yeah, I'm a performer.
Wow, there's so much to explore. So let's see how we can tackle that. Maybe the first thing I want to explore is, you say you're a professional dancer. What kind of dancing do you do?
I mostly do contemporary dance, which is a little bit like ballet mixed with modern dancing. And then I also do ballet and tap and hip hop, but my main focus is ballet and contemporary dance.
Ballet, contemporary. And when you say you're a professional dancer, what differentiates you from an amateur?
So professional dancer means that you've been paid to dance. While I was living in Los Angeles, I danced with a contemporary dance company called Stretch Dance Company. I also danced backup, like for an R&B hip-hop singer called Anissa, and she's under Sony's development label. And then when I came back to South Africa, I danced with an Israeli dance company, and I've also been doing commercials where I've had to dance. So yeah, that's what it means.
All right. So that's the one thing. You're a professional dancer. You also mentioned that you studied in the States, LA specifically. When did you go to LA and why did you make the choice to go abroad?
I went to Los Angeles in, I think it was 2012, after I graduated high school. What I wanted to do is I wanted to do an acting course that was very much focused on film and TV, and that was practical instead of going to study a degree. So I went to a conservatory called Edgemar Center for the Arts in Santa Monica, and I studied with this acting coach. Her name is Michelle Danner, and she's coached people like Penelope Cruz and Gerard Butler for like a lot of name actors. So that was a really great experience because I got to act from morning till night, and it was very hands-on and practical.
All right. So you leave South Africa, say Africa, and you go to the States in 2012.
Yeah.
And the decision to return, most people will be happy to leave the continent and never ever return. Why did Liza choose to come back to the motherland?
I chose to come back because I felt that there was still stuff that I could do in the country, and there's so many great South African and African stories to be told, and our film industry is booming, and I wanted to be a part of that. So I thought I was going to come back for a shorter time, and then I ended up booking Skeem Saam, and I ended up staying and learning so much more. So I'm very grateful for the experience.
I asked the question because obviously as 1,000 African Voices, we're promoting the development of the continent, and the only way our continent can develop and grow is when talented people like yourself choose to stay. That way we can then start really working towards creating this new Africa. Okay, so we've spoken about the dancing. We've now spoken about you studying in the States. You mentioned that you are on a show called Skeem Saam. We are in about 133 countries. So there are people that are listening to this now that are not familiar at all with Skeem Saam. What is that show about?
Okay, so basically Skeem Saam is a drama on SABC 1, on one of our main broadcasting channels in South Africa. And it's focused on 3 friends and their lives. And I play the role of Candice, who's one of the main characters' girlfriend, or not at the moment or not anymore. But basically it's a drama about life and dealing with life. Yeah, it's very popular.
All right. Oh, yes, I did a bit of reading, and it's quite a popular show. From all the projects that you have done, Liza, what would you say is the one that stands out for you?
I would definitely say Skeem Saam because it's changed my life for me. It's basically my biggest acting job to date. And it's been such a great learning experience. And I started doing it in 2016 and it's now 2019. So I've been doing it for 3 years, and I've been able to get a manager in Los Angeles through this whole process of being on Skeem Saam. And I've had my audition approved because of Skeem Saam. So it's given me a huge platform, and I just love working with the people on the show.
All right. When you say it has changed your life, I'm sure there are many elements to that. It has exposed me maybe to a new type of audience, but maybe it has also, I'm assuming, has been culturally enriching for you, amongst other things. But I wanted just to explore that a bit, that when you say it has changed your life, what does that mean for you?
Well, it means that, it's just, before, I feel like it was a lot more difficult for me to get auditions and parts, and it's been a huge boost in my career. It's also been really great working with everybody on the show, and it's such a welcoming set. And also, I get recognized a lot on the streets in South Africa, so that's quite fun and interesting to see that people watch the show and they identify with my character, and to see that, that she's actually liked by people, and the way people love the show. To be a part of that is such a huge privilege.
No, lovely. I'd like to encourage our listeners to be on the lookout for Skeem Saam. I don't know, Liza, for someone who's not in South Africa, is the show accessible elsewhere, or is it only on the local channels?
It's on, so it used to be on YouTube, and now it's on an app called View, VIU. I think that some countries you are able to download the app and watch the show. I'm not sure anymore, but it used to be on YouTube, but now it's on VIU.
Okay. I suppose our listeners can always just go on Google and type Skeem Saam, which is SKEEM SAAM. So, yeah, to the listeners of 1000 African Voices, if you want to see a bit of Liza van Deventer in action, just type Skeem Saam and see what pops up. Liza, again, I want to go back to the issue of you leaving South Africa to go to the States, then returning. What would you say are some of the differences that you were able to pick up between your country of birth and the States? If you can maybe just do a high-level comparison of how the two countries and by extension the two continents differ.
I have to say that in South Africa, we have this energy that is completely different to the States. I don't know, there's this excitement and it's just a big difference in energy. In America, especially in LA, it can be quite cold and everybody's so focused on their career and doing their own thing. But here I feel that there's a bigger fellowship in this country, a lot of traditional things that I missed. But it's just that there's a big difference in the energy, and our country is definitely one of the most beautiful places in the world. I can say that. If you compare, for instance, California to South Africa, there's no comparison. We have mountains and the ocean, and we have places like Durban and then Cape Town, and it's so different and beautiful.
Oh, lovely. And right now, where are you talking to us from? Where do you call home?
So I spend my time between Pretoria and Cape Town. I'm currently in Pretoria because I'm about to do a film and I am also shooting for Skeem Saam the next couple of weeks. But I live in Cape Town with my fiance, and I also do auditions there and do work there because the acting and film industry is really big in Cape Town as well. So I get the best of both worlds.
Oh, yes, I'm sure. I mean, a flight between Johannesburg or Pretoria and Cape Town is about 2 hours. My understanding is that Skeem Saam is shot somewhere in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
How do you manage the logistics thereof? I mean, a 2-hour flight is not only expensive, but it is also time-wise quite demanding.
Yeah, it is quite demanding. I'm basically in 3 different places at once because I also, like I said, I have a manager in LA, so I send auditions over there as well. And then sometimes I'll have auditions in Joburg and Cape Town. But I have a really good team. I have great agents both in Joburg and Cape Town that coordinate everything for me. And then Skeem Saam, they are very accommodating. So if I have another job or a callback or something, they'll always make an arrangement for me. So I'm very lucky. I don't have a routine. So if you don't like unpredictable things, don't become an actor because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So I have no routine. So I just go with whatever happens that week. I travel a lot, so I'm used to that.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I mean, if you say Pretoria, Cape Town, and you send your auditions to LA, I suppose it begs the question, Liza, like, what is the big dream? So after Skeem Saam and the movies that you're working on, what is the ultimate dream for you?
I think my ultimate dream would just be to continue being a working actor. I definitely want to be a lead in an international show. That is my ultimate dream. But whether it shoots in South Africa or America or Vancouver or anywhere in the world, I would really like to do that. But I would want to be able to work in every market for the rest of my life. So in South Africa and America at the same time.
I like this grounding in Africa. And again, I'm biased. I prefer people to stay on our beautiful continent and continue to sort of refine and make the continent the best possible one.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how you got to a point where you made the decision to go into show business. So you complete your high school. At what point did you decide that you were going to go into acting, and what was behind that? Why acting?
Well, basically, I've been performing my whole life. When I was 4 years old, I performed a poem on stage with my father in front of the whole school by myself, and then I was hooked. I love telling stories and I love becoming different characters. And that's why I also love dancing so much, because you're telling a story with your body. You obviously don't have your voice. And it's like when I perform or when I'm telling a story or connecting with another person on stage or on TV, or on film, it's this magical feeling. So I love telling stories, and it's been always known to me that this was what I wanted to do with my life, and no matter what, I was going to make it happen.
And would you say so far has it been a worthwhile dream to chase, or have you found it really tough going?
You know what? I am so grateful that I chose this path for myself. It definitely has not been easy, but it's just a testimony that if you want something bad enough and you work hard, it will happen eventually, not necessarily according to your timeline or to your expectations, but everything will work out for the best. And that's how I live my life. I just expect good things and I work hard and I'm positive.
I like that. I expect good things. I'm positive. I work hard. It's a simple thing to say, but I find that in life, my personal experience, that if you expect positive things, you're more likely to come across such. And on the flip side of that, if you choose to rather expect negativity or negative things, then you're more likely to realize that. So I really like what you're saying. I'm wondering, Liza, as an actress and a dancer, who are some of the people that have influenced your career? Do you have people that you look up to in the show business sector or industry? Yeah, can we talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so locally, I really look up to the director, Cindy Lee. She's a female director, and she actually directed me in a commercial, but she's now gone on to direct international shows and local shows. So I really love female filmmakers and female-driven stories. And then internationally, I really look up to the actress Margot Robbie. She was in Wolf of Wall Street and Suicide Squad, and there's a film she did, I, Tonya, which I think she was nominated for an Oscar. But what I really like about her is that she's not only an actress, she also has her own production company. So she's a producer and she creates work for other actors and other artists. And I really like the idea of doing that one day, of being able to create more work for people and especially women in this industry.
Margot Robbie is the Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, it's just a Harley Quinn that we all understand. I understand there's a big Harley Quinn movie. I forgot the name coming up, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So you're talking to sort of a DC Comics, Marvel person.
Yeah.
So when you say Harley Quinn, then I'm hooked. But it's interesting that you look up to people like that. I suppose for me, Harley Quinn, sorry for not using her name or her actual name.
Cool. Yeah.
It's more a recent thing. I mean, if you say you graduated in, I think you said 2012, there must have been high school. Yeah, there must have been influences prior to 2012 that impacted your decision one way or the other, like growing up.
Yeah.
Do you remember watching films and thinking, I want to go into that world?
Yeah, definitely. I was one of the people that were inspired by Charlize Theron. She was still is a big idol for me, somebody that went out and made things happen for her. And then while I was in high school, I started doing acting lessons online via Skype with a coach from America, and her name is Sarah Gabori, and she inspired me so much, and she made me see my worth as a human being and as an artist, because often as artists we need permission from someone, and she helped me to see that I have all the power within myself. So she was also a big inspiration for me.
Wow, lovely. I like how you seem to remember all the names that have impacted your life, regardless of when that happened. Most of us go through life and you try and remember who had the biggest influence and you think, 20 years ago I met this person, but I can't remember the name. Your brain seems to help you recall the names, which is great because it then allows us to follow up on those names or the characters. So I'm finding that to be quite refreshing. Okay, let's maybe switch gears a bit away from acting to I want to explore South Africa for the listeners that have never been to South Africa or even Africa. I mean, when I say we are in 133 countries, you're talking about countries like Jamaica, Greece, Finland, people who've never set foot on the continent. How would you describe your city and your country to someone who's not familiar at all with this beautiful land called South Africa?
Okay, so the first word that comes to mind is like sunny and bright. I feel that our country is very vivid. Everything, the energy is heightened. We have the friendliest people. Basically, it's so diverse. You can have mountain ranges, you can have subtropical climate, you can have tropical climate, and then you can have desert climate. We have wonderful cities, we have small towns, we have countryside. I think take the whole world and mix it into one country with very happy people and a lot of energy, and that's South Africa.
I love that. Take the whole world, mix it into one, and what you have is South Africa.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I really like that. So let's maybe dive a bit deeper into the cultural aspects of South Africa. And I know that, like any other country, there'll be cultural differences even within one society. But for Liza van Deventer, when you think culture, what comes to mind? Like, what kind of music do you listen to? If you listen to music, what kind of food do you eat? What are things that come into your cultural realm, so to speak?
I think that I am Afrikaans, but I don't think that I'm a good representation of a traditional Afrikaans person because I really like world music. I'm not such a big fan of Afrikaans music. For instance, I'd rather listen to like Black Coffee or African house music. And then I am a vegan, so I don't eat any meat or animal products. So that's also not very South African because I don't eat so I eat vegetables. But yeah, I really enjoy the nature of our country. I'm an avid hiker and I surf. So I've surfed a lot of places in South Africa and I've surfed Mozambique and all over the world. So I really enjoy our ocean and the nature our country has to offer. That's my favorite thing about the country.
You surf and you are a vegan. You keep throwing these things that just attract more questions.
Yeah, sure.
The vegan thing. So I have a son who can write a thesis on why chicken is the best thing ever. So you say, no, I'm a vegan. Why? I suppose is the first question that comes to mind.
So this is where, like, for instance, in certain cultures in South Africa, I know meat, like when somebody gets married or something, they like slaughter a cow or stuff like that. You know, like meat is like a big thing in African culture and in Afrikaans culture as well. You know, people braai and whatever. But for me, I grew up eating vegetarian, and then when I went to the States, I started watching a lot of documentaries, and for me it's an ethical thing. I'm a big activist for animals, so that's why I'm vegan. I've been vegan for 6 years now, but I am easygoing. I accept everybody's taste. It's just something that has stuck with me, and I feel really good on this plant-based lifestyle, so that's how it goes.
I've always wondered what the differentiator is. So I'm sort of close to middle age, and lately or recently I've thought to myself, I think I've had enough meat and I struggle with the ethical dilemma that comes with meat consumption. I haven't been successful yet, but I've wondered what differentiates being a plant-based person versus eating meat. I mean, to eat a plant, you do need to kill the plant the same way that you need to kill the animal before you can enjoy your meat. So I have
Yeah.
wondered what the difference between killing a plant and killing an animal is for you. Like, what is that differentiating?
So my argument is that plants don't have feelings, right? And they don't have a face. So that's how I feel about it.
Plants don't have a face.
So
Okay.
that's it's more sustainable if you think about it, because if you want like an apple, you pick an apple from the tree and that tree continues to make apples, or if you cut a crop of soy, that crop will continue to grow. So in that sense, it's more sustainable. But I do it purely for the ethical reason. For I feel sorry for animals, but that's just me and my personality.
And I mean, it's fair. And I think there comes a time when one has to reckon with your conscience and say, is it really the right thing to do to be killing and eating animals for my nutritional requirements, or are there better ways? So if I were to visit you and your fiance, Liza, I don't know if your fiance is vegetarian or not, but what would be on the menu?
Okay, so I'd bake you some chocolate cupcakes that have no dairy and egg in them, and they taste delicious. So just to make you see that, okay, you don't need eggs to make cupcakes. And then I really love making curries, and I can basically make anything vegan, but I also have a recipe to make macaroni and cheese. But instead of using cheese, you make this sauce out of sweet potato. And I know that might sound weird, but it's really good. I've had other people try it who are not vegan, and they're like, "What is this? This is so good." And I'm like, "Yeah, products in there." So, yeah. But the thing is, like, nowadays, everywhere you go, I mean, in every store, Checkers, Pick and Pay, no matter where you go, every supermarket, there are vegan options, there are plant-based options. And most restaurants now have soy milk as an option because a lot of people are lactose intolerant. So it's easy now to be plant-based without, making a scene about it.
No, I agree. It's just that the ethical discussion is a difficult one. So I'm gluten intolerant, so I've had to make do with like almond milk. But I know that it takes a lot more energy and resources to produce almond milk, for instance, compared to cow milk. So ethically, the more almond milk I consume, the less ethical I behave. But I have no choice because I cannot take gluten. I don't know. The difference between a vegan and a vegetarian, Liza, I always get confused there. What is the difference?
So I would say plant-based is basically you don't eat anything that comes from animals. And then vegan would be the same, but then you won't wear leather and you like hardcore nothing animal. And then people who are vegetarian, have milk and eggs, and some people have fish as well. So I don't know. I think it's actually silly to put a label on it, and it's more about being more conscious of what we're eating and what we're doing to the environment. I think that's the important thing to take away from it. It's not like, oh, everybody should be vegan now. It's like, no, if you can make a difference by not using plastic or not using straws or doing something small like that, then that's cool. It's not like I'm out to convert people to go vegan. It's just something that works for me and makes me feel my best. So
I like that. It makes me feel my best because at the end of the day, it's really about what makes you feel okay. I mean, I go to the shops and I still wonder, like in 2019, why is a plastic bag still available? Why am I still using a straw? Because there's so much evidence that we should be moving away from that. And countries that, I don't know what the right word is, but it's the more environmentally conscious policies. And I'm thinking now of the likes of Rwanda, Canada. They've easily made the decision to transition away from that. But you get other economies that refuse to move into the new space. And I always struggle with that. But when you find yourself in such a society, you go to the shops, you wish you could have a paper bag, but you come home with a plastic bag and you think to yourself, like, why am I still in that space? Because
Yeah.
really, as I said, at the end of the day, it's about what you are comfortable with. So yeah, it's actually been an interesting discussion to have. Like for me personally, I really do wish to move into a space where I cannot or do not want to consume any meat at all. Lisa, maybe as we're about to wrap up, I'm curious to explore maybe some of your favorite movies and books, music, if you listen to music. Can you maybe share with our listeners some of the books, movies, and music that you like?
Okay, so books-wise, I am really into, I wouldn't say spiritual books, but yeah, basically, do you know the writer Paulo Coelho? I don't know how to say his name properly, but he wrote the book The Alchemist,
I know,
which is my favorite book.
Spanish.
Yeah.
One of the best books ever.
Yeah. So The Alchemist is my favorite book of all time. And then I really like Eckhart Tolle's book, A New Earth. I'm really passionate about those types of things because having awareness, I feel, is like the most powerful tool. So I really enjoy books like that. I really love to listen to podcasts. My favorite podcast is Oprah's Super Soul Conversation because I think it's incredible. And then movies. My favorite movie is an old movie called Girl Interrupted with Winona Ryder and Angelina Jolie. And recently, one of the movies that I've seen, let's see, the Queen movie, Freddie Mercury movie, which one the guy wanted. Yeah, that was like one of my favorite movies. So yeah, that's what I like.
Wow. Really, it's such a wide range. It's amazing. I think you're probably the third or fourth interview or guest that we've had on 1000 African Voices who mentioned Oprah's Super Soul. Is it Super Soul Sunday? So maybe it's time I give that a listen because I haven't, but the fact that people keep saying that means maybe I need to give that a try.
Yeah.
What other podcasts do you listen to? Because I'm sure it's more than Oprah's. There must be others. Because once you go into the podcasting world, you discover this never-ending, amazing space.
Yeah. So I really like Jay Shetty. His podcast called On Purpose. I think it's super informative because, you know, his story, he basically left university and when everybody went into a corporate job, he became a monk for 3 years. So that's really cool. And he applied all the principles that he learned being a monk to everyday life and helping businesses and people and relationships. And he also interviews a lot of influential people. And then I also like, there's an entrepreneur lady called Marie Forleo, and she is a life coach, but she is also a professional dancer, and she only started dancing when she was 26 because she was too afraid of what people would say about her. And then she became this Nike-sponsored athlete, and she had a show on MTV, and it's just a really inspiring story, and now she's a life coach. And then let me think about another one. Yeah, and then I also like the podcast called, I don't know what it's called exactly. I think it's called Impact Theory by Tom Belladue. He's got a YouTube channel as well. It's very cool. So I like the podcast where they interview a lot of different people from around the world and people who have gone out of their way to achieve something or stepped out of the status quo to do something.
Lisa, maybe before you leave, do you have any message or words of inspiration to people listening to this show? What do you want people to know about either Liza van Deventer or really just about life in general before we bid you farewell?
I think it's really important for me to make sure that people know that whatever dream you have, you are worthy of that dream. If you want to be in the arts or do something that is not seen as acceptable by society or not the normal thing, then you should go and do it. And in order for people to believe in you, you have to believe in yourself first. So I just want people to have faith in themselves and know that they are so worthy of whatever they want to achieve in life.
I love that. If you want people to believe in you, the first step is to believe in yourself. So Lisa, from myself, Aburengwi, I would really truly like to thank you for lending your voice to our project, the 1000africanvoices.com, and to continue to thank you for being such a wonderful ambassador of African art. I like that you've gone to the States, returned to Africa, and at some point you may decide to spread your wings and maybe go back to the States or elsewhere. But it's been such a pleasure to listen to your views, your life stories, and the wisdom that you've shared with our listeners. So thank you for being such a wonderful guest.
Thank you so much for having me, and this was a wonderful experience. Thank you so much.
1000 African Voices.
You've been listening to 1000 African Voices. Please join us next time as we bring you yet another African voice. 1000 African Voices is produced by Aburengwi C. Sam Ganich is our sound engineer, with our head researcher Jones Maleka. The intro soundtrack for the show is by the legendary Salif Gator from his 1995 album Forlorn. The song you're listening to right now is by Chronix, and the title of the song is Legend. For more information, including the contact details of our guests, please visit us on our website www.1000africanvoices.com. You can also subscribe to our show on iTunes by searching for 1000 African Voices. We are also available on Stitcher. You can find us as well on Podbean. The only thing we ask of you is that you subscribe to our show by logging on to 1000africanvoices.com and click the subscribe button. That helps us grow. It helps us keep producing and bringing to you more African voices. Until next time, Kungana Africa, and take care.
Being an ordinary person doing what's right. Yesterday at the football game, a little girl asked me my name. She said, "Sir, I've seen you before, tell me who are you?" I said, "I am a legend that you never heard of before." I said, "I am a lion, but you never heard me roar. I am a hero that nobody celebrates. But if one person remembers my name, that means on the ocean of fame I'm an unknown sailor. I'm the percussionist playing with the whalers, the one with the shaker, the mover and shaker. My name wasn't on the front of the paper, but me not cater. Much more than the work is greater. Creation glorifies creator. So all deeds done are in the name of my maker. I am a legend that you probably never hear about. Words from the lion's mouth. I am a hero that nobody celebrates. But if one person remembers my name, give praise, that means I made a change. Story of my life, ordinary person just like you. If you take a look inside, you see the great things that people do. We're out here changing lives day and night, day in, day out. BBC don't show it, CNN don't show it,